They're not winning it. They're not winning it. I know that that's maybe a little bit early and so forth, and people say, oh, relax, but then they're not winning it. They're not winning it. But you have to at least attempt. You have to at least attempt. There is nothing wrong with at least attempting to say what's up, man. Because if you don't attempt to say what's up, then what's the point? What's the point? And we'll get to it. We'll get to it. The World Cup course, a very, very weird course. That is like, you know how it's, once a coincidence and so forth. No. This is a pattern upon a pattern. So that is definitely hanging over these dudes, Although if France will make it through this group, okay, this might actually be the worst. But there are a lot of questions about France, and we will get to it. There are a lot of questions and a lot of things to get into. But as we always do, let's go back in time. Let's get our DeLorean with Dak and Marty McFly and go back in time here. Just Fontaine. Now, France didn't win the 1958 World Cup. But your boy Jules Fontaine definitely said, what's up? Because obviously the 1958 World Cup was, of course, won by your boy. But he has a record that still stands. 13 goals in 6 games. That's real. That is real. Like 13 goals in 6 games is real, and that is still a record that still stands. Because that's insane. Say pre-World War, Cold War, 3, 4, whatever war you want to say, I don't care. Joseph Baikan tax, Jimmy Johnson tax, I don't care. 13 goals in 6 as something like a World Cup, that's money. 13 in 6 is crazy. Those are Haaland numbers, Those are Haaland numbers. But again, as good as it was, France didn't win. They didn't claim victoire. As good as Jules Fontaine was, France's first true superstar was Michel Platini. And many people said not that, Platini and your boy Maradona, they were almost like, academic, of course Maradona was better, but he was sort of the closest thing to Maradona, and he was definitely seen as one of the best players in the world. The belief was, okay, with someone like a Platini, should be able to say what's up. Well, they came sort of close in 86, but they ended up coming third. They lost to West Germany in the semis, and that was the best that they had done. So as good as Platini was, it was like just Fontaine, he was unable as a superstar to lead France to victory. So where is this win going to come through? Where's this win going to come through? Let's talk about this. If you're a Tottenham fan or a Newcastle fan, you know this man. This dude was an outstanding player. He was the very definition of flair. And you have to understand that this was, so during this, so the 90s and so forth, this was where France had 2 truly exceptional players. One being the guy you see in the picture, David Ginola, and Eric Cantona. So they thought, no, this is the best chance for France to now say what's up. But a very controversial game. So in qualifying for the 94 World Cup, France played Bulgaria. I think all they needed was like a draw. And so the idea was, Ginola had the ball, and I was like, just keep the ball, keep the ball. But I think he tried to cross and do something. He lost the ball, then Bulgaria in a counter-attack scored. Bulgaria goes to the World Cup. France failed to make it to a World Cup with what would have obviously been a very talented team and would have actually seen Ginola at a World Cup. And Gerard Houllier, at the time, he said that what Ginola did was a crime against France. And ever since then, Ginola never, ever, ever, he retired from France and never, ever played again for France ever again. So French football was obviously at a weird point of like, we've lost Cantona, we've lost Ginola. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? This is a country that produced a Jules Fontaine, that produced a Platini, that produced a Cantona, that produced a Ginola. What are we going to do? And that question had to be answered because they were the hosts. So with France being the hosts, it's like, look, we've had too many quality players. Football is too important in this country. And France have contributed so much to the footballing game, with the Ballon d'Or and so forth, that we have to put up a good showing. Not only that, you have to actually try to put together a team that can win. And I think it was your boy Aimé Jacques who was obviously in charge of this boys and tasked with, you've got to win this World Cup. It's on home soil. If ever there's a time to win the World Cup, it has to be on home soil in front of our own fans. Okay? So we need victoire. Mais c'est très difficile. C'est très difficile, la Coupe du Monde, à gagner la Coupe du Monde. But they had to try. It was a good French team. A Zidane, a guy, the emerging talents coming through. Marcel Desailly, who was already a double UCL winner with Marseille and AC Milan. You had your boy Thuram, Petit, Yuri Jokayev, Karembeu, Lizarazu, of course, Deschamps, who was captain the side, and Barthez, a very good keeper. But the reality was, I think, people looked more towards Netherlands and Brazil. And they were like, Netherlands and Brazil are most likely to win because let's be like France in comparison to Netherlands, to Brazil, to even Italy, they were not that good. So I think the question was, okay, it's a decent team, but you need to give us some kind of hope that we could really win it. And that kind of hope only comes if you can slay a giant. Can you slay a giant? Yeah, they can. So remember, Italy were World Cup finalists 4 years prior in '94. So when France came up against Italy, they was like, okay, this is our first real test. This is our first real test. And it wasn't easy because it went all the way to the lottery of penalties. And there always has to be a villain. And it was your boy Luigi Di Biagio, who missed his penalty. And with that, France came through. And I think one of the most iconic moments of this World Cup was, Laurent Blanc kissing the bald head of Barthez, and he did that before every game, and that was just a sign of good luck. So this was the first time where people in France were like, oh, we have slayed a giant. We've slayed a big team. Maybe, just maybe. The next test was against Croatia. A surprise team. They may not seem as a giant, but they had just beaten Germany prior. So this was a very dangerous team. And when you look at the game, it was not an easy game. It was not an easy game. And France had an unlikely hero. Lilian Thuram, defender, tough as those quality defender, who decided that, I know I'm a defender, but we need to win this game. And we are a team. And if it's a team, we defend together, we attack together. So if Givash, Zidane, Yuri Jokayev, Henry ain't going to do it, I'm going to do it. And Thuram dropped 2 goals in that semi. And for me, I feel that it's one of the craziest things that a defender has ever done at a World Cup, to drop 2 goals in a World Cup semi-final, and 2 quality goals. Like one of his goals, that's like a striker's goal. And obviously this was one of his iconic celebration of when he basically did this, man. So France were like, wait a minute, this is real. We're in a final. But we're in a final with Brazil. And France were like, okay, Italy, that was tough. Super tough, But again, the Italy side, were they one of the best Italy sides, but it was still tough. Croatia, the surprise team. But this is where it got real. It's Brazil. You're now facing the champions of 4 years ago. And you know that this is a country that knows how to defend their title as they did in '62. So people in France knew, okay, this is going to be tough. This is not going to be easy. This is going to be real tough. But also, I think for France, because basically there's a really famous video before the Brazil game. I think it's with Leboeuf, Desailly, and I think it's with Laurent Blanc or Thuram. I think it's with Thuram, where they're describing Ronaldo, because I think they sort of faced him in the Serie, and because remember, Ronaldo won the UEFA Cup in '97 with Inter Milan. So guys like Desai and Thuram, they'd faced him. So they explained to Buffer like what he does because they had faced him several times playing against him in the Serie. So there was fear. But I think what really helped France, again, France deserved it because you have to beat what's in front of you. But I think what really helped France was what happened to Ronaldo, and Ronaldo was a no-show based on what happened prior. And I think he was poisoned. But it is what it is. But France took their opportunity, and this is where we saw Zidane. And I think Zidane said, all right, someone's going to be a hero. Lilian, thank you for being a hero. But Lilian, step aside. It's time for me to say what's up. Come with two-headed goals to put them in the lead. And I think once France were 2-0 up, it was game. Brazil knew it was game over. You could see from Brazil's body language that after that second goal came in, it was all over. And Emmanuel Petit just put the full stop and the cherry on the cake for France to fulfill what they did, to win the World Cup on home soil in the very first World Cup. But as I always say, and I said this with Argentina in '78, I still say this with England in '66, if your only World Cup is won on home soil, it's cool, but there's a bit of a home soil tax. So I'm like, okay, can you not do it other than home soil? Yeah. 0-2 didn't start off very well. First game, Senegal, first thing that Senegal have ever been in a thingy, and they lose. I was in physics class. Shout out to your boy Bill. If Bill is listening, he will know this story. So me, because I was always with Bill, we were in the same class and everything. We were always in the same class. So remember, we were watching. So our physics teacher allowed us to watch this in physics. And I remember, because look, I'm an African American. So I remember when Senegal scored, I remember running to the back of the room and pretty much just sliding down and someone going, when the Senegal scored, and everybody just turned and just started to laugh at me. But yeah, I remember we watched this in physics. Shout out to what was it? Gray. David Gray. Mr. Gray, yes, Mr. Gray, physics teacher. I still remember him allowing us to watch this game and so forth, and my celebration when Senegal scored. But this was shocking. This is definitely one of the biggest shocks, I think, in World Cup history. Because this is the only one I can think of close to this was Cameroon and Argentina back in 1990 when Cameroon beat Argentina, when Argentina obviously were the defending champions. But this was shocking. But Senegal, they had a chance to, correct things. Uruguay, I believe they drew against Uruguay. I believe this one was a draw. So they drew against Uruguay, and it got even worse because Henry got sent off. So not only did they go down to 10 men, but now in a must-win final game, so it's basically in a must-win final game, they now had to pretty much do this without Henry. And keep in mind, Zidane wasn't fully fit. So because Zidane wasn't fully fit, he couldn't play much of the games. So yes, because I just wanted to make sure. So France they drew with Uruguay. So because Zidane wasn't fully fit, he didn't play the first 4 games. But the feeling was, bro, you have Henry now fully at his peak. You have Trezeguet fully at his peak, and Henry and Trezeguet were like the 2 strikers. You've got Vieira, you've got Petit. This team is money. Desai. So the feeling was, of course we can navigate Senegal and Uruguay without Zidane. And then as Zidane came back for the last game, it was too little, too late. Denmark knocked them out. And France, defending champions, went out in the groups. And I think this was the beginning of the World Cup course. This was the beginning of the World Cup course. So remember, this was prior to Italy, prior to Spain, prior to Germany. So for all of us watching, we're like, France didn't make it through the group. The defending champions didn't make it through the groups. It's one thing for Argentina to lose to Cameroon in the opening game, but Argentina ended up making the final. The defending champions didn't make it through the groups. was shocking. We were all shocked. '06. Not much was really. See, you have to remember. So Zidane was already retired. So they had to get Zidane out of retirement to help them even qualify. So France were even finding it hard to qualify for the World Cup. And with what happened 4 years ago, guys just thought, okay, yeah, no one was looking at France. So in '06, all eyes were on Brazil. All eyes were on Brazil or Argentina. Those were the two guys. It was Brazil, Argentina, Brazil, Argentina. Like, no, one of these guys will win. It's either going to be Brazil or Argentina. So we looked at France. Okay, it's fine, but yeah, yeah, yeah. You know. So there always has to be that one game that lights everything up. That one game that makes everyone sit up and be like, okay, what? Brazil, France. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Huge game. And I was like, okay, you know what? What was I feeling before this game? I felt that I really felt Brazil would win this because remember, France were not that great already. They don't be that remarkable. Yes, they beat Spain, but it was a young Spain. And I was like, I remember Zidane, yeah, he did his thing. We know what he did in '02 and everything, but I felt with the amount of talent that Brazil have, it's going to be a close game because these guys still have experience. It's going to be a very close game. I just felt that with Brazil's quality and with Ronaldinho being the Ballon d'Or winner, just winning the UCL, Dino will be the difference maker here. I feel privileged to have watched this game live. There is no doubt. There is no argument. There are no ifs and buts. This is the greatest performance by a player I've seen in a game. That's the key thing. Great, not best, greatest. Because it's how well he played, the stage, and who he was facing. So the quality of the opposition, the stage he's doing it on, and how well he played. Because I remember I was watching. I think I watched it with my brother. Yes, I watched it with my brother. I remember saying to myself that this is the first time I've seen a player beat a team. This is the first time you just saw a player beat a team because what Zidane did was he just raised the belief of everyone in the French team, and he sort of just made Brazil doubt themselves. And it was to the case of where every time the French player had the ball, they were like, where's Zidane? Where's Zidane? Every time a French player had the ball, they were looking for, just give it to Zidane. Give it to Zidane. Because if they're like, wherever you are, just find Zidane, he knows what to do. He knows where to play the pass, and he knows how to make Brazil all around him. And just the kinds of things he was doing to Dino, to Ronaldo, to Kaká, it was nasty, bro. It was nasty. Yeah, I mean, it was, and this is the moments where I was like, okay, this dude is different. And this was when everyone had to stand up and be like, okay, we know what we saw in that '02 UCL final, what he did in the '98 final, what he's been doing for Real Madrid, but his is now a difference. And the feeling was, could he? Could he? Could he possibly? Because when France beats Brazil, and this Brazil team, there was a strong feeling that, oh, we could do this. This could really be a second World Cup. Like a second World Cup could really come now. So that feeling was growing more and more and more. So they beat Portugal in the semis, and they faced Italy in the final. A very good Italy team. I do not understand how big or how solid your balls have to be to do a Panenka in a final. I don't know how you do a Panenka in a final. That's just wild. That's wild. It's wild. I mean, like, to have the balls to do that, to pull it off, is crazy. And my feeling was, bro, I think Zidane might do it. I think this guy may just do something truly spectacular that would arguably move him ahead of homeboy. If you insult my moms, my family, in a very extreme way, with all due respect to a Nigerian, I don't give a damn. I'm going to headbutt you in your chest. Again, I watched this final with my brother, and we were shocked. When it happened, I was like, I wasn't. It is one of the most shocking things in sports, because you're like, what? Why? So, because obviously, when you're watching the game live, we didn't know what was said, we didn't know what happened, we didn't know what Materazzi said to him. So, like, but then before we really got the news, I was like, this is a World Cup final. A World Cup final. Materazzi had to have said something truly heinous, truly messed up for Zidane to react like that. You know, and you know what I say, man. Zidane stays on that pitch, France win that game. Because I think a few minutes before the sending off, Zidane had a header with Buffon with an amazing save. Zidane stays on that pitch, he does something to help France win that game. And if that happens, Zidane goes, for me, into history as the greatest player of all time. If he had led France that World Cup, he will go down as the greatest player of all time. He would have surpassed Pele, yes, and Maradona, yes. But it didn't happen. And see, it's just like with Mike Tyson on the air. People are like, oh, headbutt, because people are just negative merchants. Zidane's career and legacy is not signified by that headbutt. It's a moment of madness, but no. He's too good of a player and too great of a player for that to be it. And he was one of the best players at that World Cup. It was between him and Cannavaro. And still, what he did up to that last moment was truly exceptional, and that is what people will remember. But they didn't win. Trezeguet missing his penalty, Italy winning on penalties, and France came so close. They came so close, but for France, they were unlikely to. People didn't expect them to even make that the final. And I think, based on what happened in 02, I think it was a great response from the events in 02 that they were even managed to even make that final. You know, you can't coach a team. Shout out to Raymond Dominic, who was obviously the France manager in 06, who didn't do anything, and 2010. So Dominic and the French team, they fell out, you know, completely. Where the French team refused to turn up to training, and there was a massive standoff. And I remember France, it was the France-Mexico game. I think it was the last group game. And I think it was just before the second half started. And Ribery was taking the team talk. So Ribery was taking the team talk. And I think the notion was the players were managing themselves. Because they're completely just given up on Dominic. They were coaching themselves. And this was just a total mess up. They failed to get through the groups. So yet another complete mess up by your boys and France, man. And I think it was like almost in a weird way history repeating itself of like, yeah, you failed the group stage in 02, and did so much in 06, but now in 2010, I mean, what is this? But this was where we really saw that the kind of internal issues and the internal drama that can happen within a French team. See, 2014 was a case of a very talented young team, but they ran into destiny. Because while France were just beginning this kind of like new generation, you see, for me, this is the end of the old generation. This is the beginning of the new generation here. Germany, we're already several years into it. Because remember, this German team, this generation that won for the German team began in 2010. France were just coming through, and against Germany, it is what it was. I think Hummels scored the winning goal. It was what it was. They just got beat by a team who were already several years into their project. Not many people were looking for foreign stars in 2018. Guys were like, okay, it's cool. They showed the guy who won in '98. It's all cool, but nobody were really looking at them as potential winners of anything. So during the groups, unremarkable in the groups. Fine, cool. So they needed something. They needed to make a statement. They needed to make a statement. Again, I was in a pub, I was in a restaurant, and there was always that moment where it's like, oh, I'm witnessing something. Like I am witnessing something. And there was just that kind of belief that, oh, we are witnessing the guy. We're witnessing the guy. And it's your boy Mbappe. And this was the moment that France came alive. And this is the moment that France really had a belief that, oh, maybe we can do this. Now, it's not a case of like, oh, because Argentina were a big dog. So the moment of realization wasn't really about beating an Argentina team that were fully dysfunctional. The moment of realization was, we have a hero. We have a superstar. And we've seen, whether it's through Pele, whether it's through Romario, whether it's through Ronaldo, if you have that truly exceptional, through Maradona, that exceptional superstar, that's enough to say what's up and to win a World Cup. So it was very exciting in terms of like, oh no, we are seeing a teenage sensation, something we've not seen since your boy Pele. Close game against Belgium. Very, very close game. Really, really close game. Fine edges. But France managed to make a way through. And France, they were not remarkable. They were not entertaining. They did not play glamorous football, but they just knew how to get it done. They knew how to get it done. They were good merchants. They were good merchants. They knew how to get it done. And I think that once France made the final and they knew that they were facing Croatia, I think France felt that, oh, we can do this. We know we can do this. And we know we have the talents, the skill levels, and the quality to do this and to supersede these dudes. And I just think that what that game showed was just France's quality. They just had too much quality for Croatia. Croatia were an amazing team. They did it well. France just had so many individuals, whether it was through a Pogba, through an Mbappe, through a Griezmann, who just knew how to execute. And now France had proven themselves because it's their second World Cup, but they had won a World Cup not on home soil. So France had definitely staked the claim as boom. And what many people say is that, was this a European win? Or was this a Euro-African win with the amounts of sort of like African players coming from African origins in this team? So the notion was, oh my gosh, France, this could be a true force. This could be a true force, man. But as we enter into this World Cup, we can't ignore this. 98, France win, also out in group stages. 06, Italy win the World Cup. 2010, out in the group stages. 2010, Spain win the World Cup. 2014, out in the group stages. 2014, Germany win the World Cup. 2018, out in the group stages. It is once is an anomaly. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times is a pattern. 4 times is just damn scary. 4 times is just damn scary. So France are like, whoa, wait a minute, because it's France, it's Denmark, it's Tunisia, and it's Australia. So you'd expect them to go through. We expected Italy to go through as well. Where they had Slovakia made it ahead of them. So you just never know. Sometimes, because when you look at the World Cup course here, a pattern that you see here is, well, apart from 02, in every other instance, it was the same manager. So Lippi was the same manager in 06 and 2010. What's his name? Del Bosque was the same manager in 2010 and 2014. And Yogi Löw was the same manager in 14 and 18. So many people have said that, especially with what happened at the Euros, was it maybe the time to bring in Zidane? Was it perhaps the time to bring in Zidane for this French team? But Deschamps must know that, let's be focused and let's be real. Deschamps was like, look, I won the World Cup and I feel that I deserve the right to try to defend this title that I helped to guide my country through. I would have liked to see Zidane be the manager, and I've never really rated the Champ, but he shut everyone up in 2018. And if he sometimes does the unthinkable, he could really go down in history. But he's going to have to do it without these two guys. And that is why I say France can't win this World Cup. Pogba and Kante, they are too important. Pogba and Kante, they are too important. If France went in this World Cup with a fully fit Pogba and a fully fit Kante, they'd have a very good chance of defending their title 100%. Because with a fully fit Pogba and a fully fit Kante, they're very hard to beat. I don't believe Kante was fully fit in 2018. So sorry, at the Euros. But look, it happens. But without these two players, they're too important. They're too important with how France play and what makes them difficult to break down. They're too good. Too good. Huge misses. And we have more injuries. It's not been great. So both of these guys are through injury. And now Nkunku, who could have, again, he was not going to be a starter. But you know what? It was another good attacking option to have. And it's so horrible it's happened in freaking training that has robbed him off of his first World Cup. So he has to now wait for 4 years now. But they have the best player in the world. They have the Ballon d'Or winner. And you see, Benzema was in 2014, but that's a very young Benzema, very, very young Benzema now. This is a far better Benzema, far better player, and it's coming in as a Ballon d'Or winner. And I think when you just saw what Benzema did at the Euros, you're seeing the kind of qualities that he can bring. So despite the losses of Pogba and Kante, with Benzema being on that pitch, anything is possible for France. Because if Benzema can replicate that UCL knockout form for France, it could be a huge, massive help to sort of offset the loss of Pogba and Kante. But there's a question, though. And it's a question that I didn't even like to ask, but I've got to address it. Do France play better with Giroud? Benzema's the better player. 100%. He's far the better player. But do France play better with Giroud? Because Giroud is a selfless player. And Giroud makes Griezmann better. Giroud makes Mbappe better. Although the Mbappe-Benzema link-up at the Nations League was money, but there is that notion that, because all that Deschamps has to be worried about is what is best for France. What is best for the team. All that matters is what is best for the team. Nothing else matters. All that matters is what is best for the team. I still start Benzema, but it's something to think about. Or is there a way where you can incorporate Giroud and Benzema? Because as much as I clan Giroud for not scoring at the World Cup, he was very important. Because football has evolved to the stage where strikers are just not always required to score. As Benzema himself, the role that he played for Real Madrid in those UCLs as a selfless striker. So it's one to think about. I think this guy has been quality for Real Madrid. And he's going to have a huge role. In the absence of Pogba and Kante, Tchouaméni has to now step up. I think it's too much to ask of him. And I think that he's going to be required to take on too much of a great role. Because when you've got freaking Mama's Boy, Fofana, and all these other dudes, Tchouaméni is going to have to do too much. And I think that I hope he has a good World Cup. He's an amazing talent. But I think this World Cup is going to be too early for him. And I think it may be a case of let's come back in 4 years' time. So I just worry with the amounts of responsibility that this young man will have to shoulder in the absence of Pogba and Kante. Nah. He's already got a Dubinsky. He's already got a Dubinsky. And his second one will be greedy. It will be greedy. But I'm intrigued to see what can Mbappe do. I think Mbappe is one of the people don't like him much. I don't think people don't like him much. And I do feel that there is a nightmare scenario of Mbappe winning another World Cup. And I think it's a scenario that would just turn people's heads. I don't see it happening. What are the chances that Mbappe leads France to a second World Cup? Not very high. Because as good as Mbappe is, as much of a game winner as is, as much of a difference maker as it is, this is still a team. And you need a foundation for you to jump off. And that foundation is lost with Pogba and Kante. So it is expecting too much for Mbappe to say what's up. Now, I'm hoping he does better than he did at the Euros, because at the Euros he flopped. I'll be real with you. At the Euros he flopped, so I'm expecting a bit more. But it's asking too much for Mbappe to say what's up. Do France win the World Cup? No. Can France win this World Cup? No. That's the thing. So no, I don't think they'll win the World Cup. Can they win it? No. And I say no because that can comes through Kante and Pogba. They can't win it with the midfield that they currently have. Because if they run into an Argentina or a Brazil or even a freaking Portugal, I just feel like if the absence of Pogba and Kante means that they can't win it. Bro, because there's a possibility that if they finish in second, they face England in the quarters. Are you sure they beat England? Because as we established before, football isn't won on paper, it's won on the pitch. So just having the names just ain't enough. So, but look, France, you might as well attempt to go against everyone. Because I don't believe France can win it. Because I just feel that Pogba and Kante, those misses are too great. And I'm not sure whether Mbappe and Benzema are enough to see them through. And I've got questions with the defense as well. Is Varane still at his best? Umtiti is a huge miss because Umtiti was huge. Umtiti was huge. France, we have to see, man. All I can say is bonne chance, les Français.